I love that you think that I had a plan. I had I was holding the end of a rope and I was like, I cannot spend one more minute.
Are you a woman over 40 and thinking about making a career shift or maybe starting a new business? Today's video is for you. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Shawon, and joining me today is a very special guest, one of my past branding clients, and her name is Allison Lane. After 25 years of creating multi-million-dollar marketing and PR campaigns for brands like Unilever, The Body Shop, Burt's Bees, Johns Hopkins, and many more, Allison now helps nonfiction authors, subject matter experts, and individuals with a message to share with the world to increase their authority and create bigger opportunities. Please help me welcome Allison to the channel. So thank you so much for joining us today, Allison. I am so looking forward to our conversation today. And let's just start it off with you sharing a little bit about yourself and a bit about how you've gotten to where you are today. What has been the path to get you here?
Well, my path is what a loaded question, Shawon. My goodness. Well, my path is long and windy. And what I can tell you right now is my path to get to what I'm doing today, which is helping experts and entrepreneurs and subject matter leaders write their books, get published, market their books, and then rinse and repeat, because no one knows how to market a book. And everyone thinks they can come out of their cave, launch a book, and then go back in their cave, and it's not true. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But I did spend 25 years leading big brand marketing and communications for brands that you know and love, like the Dove master brand. They call it a family of brands. We used to call it a master brand, but that's very gender specific. And Axe deodorant body spray. I worked at led media relations at Quaker Oats, which became Pepsi. Which, if you don't know, Quaker Oats owned Gatorade, which is why Pepsi was so interested. I led PR at Unilever, so I got to work with celebrities and sports figures and actors and building brand personalities and finding ways to engage with the people who loved the personality of a brand. It's not just people fall in love with a deodorant. That just keeps your pits from smelling like butt, right? And after 25 years, I did everything from CEO manifestos to websites to TV appearances, because I am not modest or shy when it comes to telling stories. And I was often put in front of the camera or radio interviews, as well as like financial reporting and being interviewed by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, with no notice. Back before caller ID, the phone would just ring and it would be like, Sarah Ellison from the Wall Street Journal. Like, oh, hey, Sarah. Actually, I think she was with the New York Times at that time. Like, what do you need? Well, I need a quote about this. So you got to be ready, ready, ready. That is how I've always run my professional life. And after 25 years, I just couldn't sit through one more meeting about the next meeting, planning the other meetings, the side meetings about the meeting. I just couldn't do it. And so I quit 2 weeks before COVID, and I quit. And now I support women who have a message and an expertise that the world needs. And so many times these women they know that they know more than others, but they refuse to call themselves experts because they're concerned that someone might say, well, they're not an expert. And I say concerned because I'm trying not to say afraid, but their words are usually, I'm afraid that somebody will think that I'm, that I don't deserve to be called expert. Like, you're afraid. Let's get rid of that, because you don't need permission to share what you know.
I love
You
that.
just don't.
Very true. Very true. I know I've heard it said too, especially with dealing with that, am I an expert, or fill in the blank to all of the, am I,
Yeah.
worthy, so on and so forth. But when it comes to, am I an expert? Like, you are an expert. You are an expert for the person who needs the thing that you have. And to be able to, sit in that or walk in that confidence too, to know that, I feel that helps to dismantle that fear, or that, I don't know, being scared about that too. I think it feels like it's a heavy word to say that I'm an expert. It feels as though you need to have, for me, it was having a long list of letters behind my name, or a certain level of experience, or what someone else's expectation of success meant for business. So I love that you, are able to speak with them and share from that place too. I'm sure that you've experienced probably as well of feeling that. Have you felt that?
Well, yes, for sure. Because when you are in a corporate environment, you are you have to earn the right to speak, especially in public relations. I started out in PR agencies, where it's an apprenticeship growth opportunity. You get out of journalism school or whatever you're doing, and you start at the bottom. And my whole job for about 6 months was standing in the fax room and faxing. And and I was a champion faxer. Like, I'm telling you, I did everything awesome. And then I'd be, move forward to, now you can fill out the fax cover letters. Like, why don't you go ahead and do that? See what you can come up with. Like, is this a creative opportunity? I don't know. Isn't it like and everything was a test. And then somebody would say, now you can actually talk to a client. Otherwise it was, please be quiet. And you get conditioned to wait for someone else to invite you to speak, which is, listen, we should not have to wait for permission. But years and years of waiting for permission really condenses you down, and you fold into a box. And my purpose now is to undo that, because women's voices need to be heard. And whoever's hearing this right now, yes, yours too. Yours too, because someone else needs what you have, but you are at least one step ahead of someone else. So don't think about just one person. There are a ton of people, not just tens, but hundreds and thousands of people who are one step or two steps behind you, and they need to know what those next steps are, period. So there's not one expert, like at the tippy top. There's not. It's not like Miss Universe. Like, it's just this one lady. No, there are just a ton. You can be an expert in one thing or a bunch of things, but to someone else, you are their savior, because you are pushing away all the debris that fills their head. Like, it's hard to take advice from someone who's like 100 steps in front of you because you're like, no, just tell me the next thing. Like, it's too big. There's a role for everyone. And if you're thinking like, well, I'm not quite an expert, I don't know that I'd call myself that. Like, I don't care what you'll call yourself. If someone else would call you that, then you are. So lean into that, because your humility is boring. And no one is going to knock down your door and drag you out and say, come on. We really believe in you. Like, you have to just shed that tentativeness, because if you're not ready to step forward, then someone else is going to step forward.
I want to go back to sitting in those meetings over and over again. And did it happen when you were in year 25, or had this been happening, let's say year 20, 21, that this feeling of, I don't know, when's my breaking point? I can't do it anymore. What was that like for you, and when did it happen?
I every time I made a major shift in my career, I had hit a breaking point. I was in PR agencies in New York City, which you only call it New York City when you don't live there. When you live there, it's just the city. So I was working in the city. My office was in Times Square. I mean, I had a great career in PR agencies, and I was what they call a rising star because I was a good presenter, and they always needed somebody young and fiery to go on the business pitches. And I was like, I'll go, anything to get out of my cubicle. And I just had it. Like, I see these other people who I reported to when I first started out. Keep in mind, I had 4 years work experience. I mean, not a ton, but now looking back, like, who cares? Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook and he didn't have any work experience. Like, there's no level of years experience that equates your opportunity. There's just not. But in my head, I had to work in PR agencies for at least 4 years before I could go corporate, because that I thought was like the cat's meow. And also, I wasn't from New York, so I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay in Annapolis, Maryland. So I was used to seeing sky and grass, which is hard to come by in Manhattan. So I asked for a transfer, and my PR agency was global. It's very, very large. And they said, great, pick a city and we'll move you. I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I chose Chicago. I should have chosen Madrid, but I chose Chicago. And I moved to Chicago, and I very quickly got rented out to a client of the agencies, which was Quaker Oats. And at the end of that assignment, Quaker essentially bought me from the agency. And that was a shift, because I was like, I can't, it's like competitive and very, very regimented. It's almost like a union. You enter at one level and you're, an assistant to an assistant. And the person you report to has like 6 months more experience than you. And so the responsibilities that get sort of like the bite-sized responsibilities that get bestowed upon you are so small that you get used to celebrating these tiny itty bitty steps. And it's excruciating for someone like me who's like, I want to go big. I like a big picture. And I really was able to spread my wings when I went in to see the broader vision of branding. When I went to Quaker and did everything from publicized the Grits Festival, which is annual, folks, and as well as earnings releases and many, many food crises and fraud. Oh my gosh, the things people will do when they think that they're going to get $1 billion, and instead they go straight to jail. And then, mergers and acquisitions and divestitures. I mean, I really got a working MBA, working, and then I went straight to Unilever, which was even larger. And so, yeah, every time I either asked for more responsibility or just said, I'm just going to start doing this, see if anybody notices. And every time I did that, they were like, great, you're so valuable. People would ask, like, can you come to my meeting and we're having this brainstorm. I really want can you come down and meet with Walmart at their headquarters? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm an idea factory. But sitting in a PR agency, even in a brainstorm where I did not have the confidence starting out to even participate in brainstorms. And then I realized that what I was thinking, someone else would say, and everyone would say, like, good idea, Hillary. This woman, Hillary, she was really smart. But I'd be like, but I'm thinking it and she said it. I'm going to have to start saying it before she says it. And that was super helpful to realize early, like, who cares if only 1 in 10 idea or suggestion is a winner? Other people are not really going out on a limb, and it's those big ideas that are kind of shocking that people notice. So I did, but throughout my career, reach kind of growing pains where I'd be like, I need to do more. I want to see what else I can learn.
So when you put in your notice 2 weeks before COVID happening, of course, no one expected the world to shut down. 2 weeks before COVID, putting in your notice, what was going through your mind in terms of what's next? What was next for you, and what direction did you want to go in? Did you already have a plan? Tell us a little more about that.
I love that you think that I had a plan. I was holding the end of a rope, and I was like, I cannot spend 1 more minute. And I had just gotten a new boss who showed up on his first day wearing orange corduroys. And, they made that sound that, like, and he didn't ask anybody anything about themselves. Nothing. And I was like, you know what? I can't do it. I cannot work for 1 more person who's going to come in and wipe away the accomplishments and the smarts of the people in the room and sort of be so dismissive. And I'm just not, I just can't, I'm just too old. And I wish I had hit that point earlier, but I don't think that I recognized that unrest in my chest 10 years prior. But I now know what I was feeling 10 years prior. I thought it was just that I hated my boss 10 years prior, but it wasn't. It was, I need to do more. I want to have a bigger impact. I am a storyteller, and I don't want to be put in a box.
So did you know that you wanted to work with women from your experience and to be able to give them a voice? Did you know that? Was that, even though you didn't have a plan, were you considering that demographic to work with?
Well, my business grew organically because as my corporate career was mind numbing at some point. I really did spend 8 hours a day in virtual meetings, with people all over the globe. And so we were all working from home. And half the time I would just have to be present. And one time in each hour, someone would say, Allison, what do you think? And I unmute and say, blah, 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 blah. And then I mute again. And so all that time I had a personal computer and a work computer. My personal computer, I'd be editing someone's manuscript or I was in a writers group and working with women to help them build their platforms so that they could get their books published. And during that time, I was stunned that so few women had any idea of what the process is like, what the path to publishing actually is, and how you really have to be your very best marketer. But these were women who had an expertise like green building, but they had never written an article for anything, didn't know how to pitch media, didn't really have a website, didn't have a blog. They were practitioners of something that made them an expert. And no one had said, you know what, you could really like sneeze an article for, motherjones.com. I mean, you could walk your dog and talk into your phone for 10 minutes and an article would come out. And pitching media is free. And you do not need to hire a publicist. I will teach you how to do this in like a half an hour. Or you can spend $1,500 to learn it from someone else, or you can spend $3,500 a month hiring a publicist who will then ask you for everything that I'm literally going to tell you, like, here's how to do this. And it struck me that these women they are committed to their lane, their area of expertise. They don't want to stop doing what they're doing in order to launch a brand or build a platform. They simply want to share what they know. And that is how I got very involved very quickly in helping women find their marketing point of difference, their hook. And you think that there's one hook. There's not. But they weren't marketers. So the thing that they thought about, but here's why this is important, like, but that's not that relatable. So let's brainstorm a bunch of other hooks and I can come up with a dozen hooks in less than 5 minutes because I've done it for 25 years. And let's see which one plays. Let's do a little bit of digital detective work, which when you call it research, people recoil.
Like,
but
no.
No. Let's do some research. What do your customers say? Like that feels really big. No, we're going to do 20 minutes of digital detective work and I will create a hook while we're talking and we'll send it off to a literary agent or a publisher or a journalist and pitch an article, and people just started getting yeses. And that very quickly became my lane.
Love that.
Is how quickly can I push away the debris of inputs that people are getting? Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you don't. You have to know what you want, where you're going, your destination. And then when you work for a Fortune 50 company, you don't get to push the timeline. It's, we're here, we have to go there. How fast can we go? If there's an obstacle that pops up, quick detour because the date doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that the timeline for the people I work with compresses from what can stretch out for years and years to no, we're not going to spend 6 months on a book proposal. That's crazy. You can do it in a week. For sure. You need a template, but I have a template. It's like Mad Libs. Just words, words, words. Give me an adverb, right? Things have to be easier, and it's my job to make them easier.
Love that. So you found a gap in the market.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And you started out growing your business organically. And then what happened as you started to get these results?
Well, this is a fun interview. It's like memory lane. Well, initially I thought I would help people get agents and get publishing deals. And then very quickly, publishing is changing so much that publishers don't do all the things that you think that they do. So my clients would get, first of all, for those of you who aren't familiar with the publishing industry, to have a traditional publisher give you a book deal, they're essentially buying your book from you, but you're very, very much still involved because you are the face of your book. And to have a traditional publisher offer you a contract, you need a few things. You need a book proposal, and you need a literary agent. And you need a query letter, which is like a cover letter. It's like a pitch letter to get the literary agent's interest. So you have to boil down your entire book idea into 3 paragraphs that are so distilled and riveting that they want to talk to you right away. And I only work one-on-one with nonfiction authors, health, wellness, business, entrepreneurship, science, academics, lots of professors. And the thing that gets in people's way is they think that they have to write the entire book. First of all, please don't write your entire book. Nobody wants it. It's a waste of your time, and it might feel good to you, but a traditional publisher does not want that from you. They want a book proposal, which is
really good,
very, very distinct, and is essentially a marketing plan and a sales forecast. It is not about your book. It is about your sales opportunity of your message. It's like going on Shark Tank. So if you want to learn more about that, we can talk about that, or just hit me up on Lane Lit. But back to your question, like what came next, I was sharing so much that my clients would come back to me and say, well, now the publisher wants me to do this. I thought they were going to do this. I thought they were going to reach out to other authors who would give me endorsements. I'd be like, no, why would they do that? You're in charge of your relationships, and you know who your market is. Why would you hand that over to somebody they market your book inside the industry, but you need to sell yourself because you are the brand and the book is your product. But also your speaking engagement is your product. Your social is a product. All the ways that someone can connect with you they're all products. Your service, your program, whatever it is. So we don't want to hand that over. We want to own that. And we don't want to be so narrow. So very quickly, they would come back to me to say, well, now they want me to write the back cover copy. I thought they were going to do that. No, girl. We do that. And P.S., you already have all of those elements. You just don't realize that I already wrote that for you. And it's this sentence and this sentence and this portion of your book proposal. They need to come in together, and ta-da, there it is. And then launching your pre-order campaign. Again, I thought the publisher was going to do that. Nope, they don't. So when you're a comprehensive marketer, and you're not, and publishing usually has a lot of specialists. Like there's a copy editor who just copy edits, and there's a cover designer who just does that. Well, I do everything. Or I don't do it for people because I don't want someone to not depend on themselves. I'll show you how to do it. I'll shepherd you through it. And then every one of my clients then it gets smarter because they're working with me, and faster. And then they still come back because now they're smarter and faster, and they have bigger opportunities. Great. That's how my business grew.
Love that. So initially coming from the writers group, perhaps started to grow organically, solving those problems. And then those clients would stick with you or tend to work with you for an extended period because you had more pieces to the puzzle that they needed, that they didn't know that they needed. I'm definitely learning a lot about the world of publishing, so many things that I did not know. So your business began to grow in that way. And where are you in terms of today with building your business? I feel that can sometimes be a barrier when you've been in a career for so long, and you are comfortable, you know where your next paycheck is coming from, and all of a sudden you're an entrepreneur now, and you're juggling everything, and in terms of growth and making sure that you have enough money to pay your bills, that rests on you now. So tell me a little bit about that experience of shifting from being in the corporate world to now you're an entrepreneur and growing and building your business in that way.
Well, certainly there's less red tape since there's just me. However, I went from having, multi-million-dollar budgets with PR agencies on retainer, and I mean like several, to me being the admin, and if the printer needs fixing, that's me. And if the website has a link that's broken, that's me. After 2 years, I hired an assistant, and a virtual assistant, and that was genius for me because there are certain tasks that need to be done, but they don't need to be done by me. And learning how to manage one person virtually was a learning curve, and also to adopt some of the structure that I had in corporate of setting priorities and goals and measures. Because what we don't measure, it doesn't get done. If you don't have a deadline, you'll never reach the end. And so that's how I've incorporated that corporate expertise and experience into the business. And now that I have realized that my clients do need, whether they need integrated marketing based on where they are on their path to publishing. If they have a book to pitch, great, we start with that. If they're still building their brand, but they have a lot of content, great, we'll start with that. If they already have a book out and they need to, or they're about to launch a book and they think, I want to launch my book, or my book is out, but it's not selling as well as the publisher expected it to. And when they say that, like, no, the publisher is expecting you to drive that. It's you and your publisher are not a team. They are an investor in your book, but it's up to you to make sure that that thing sells. And they need to do fewer things, but bigger. And there's a big brand methodology that really helps people move forward faster when they work with me. So now I have a small group program that is 12 months. It's a Catapult Mastermind, which is wherever you are on the spectrum of I have a book, or I'm launching a book, or my book has launched and I want to turn that into speaking engagements and podcast interviews. How do I get on a podcast? Don't worry, I have templates for everything. And those people are, they have access to me constantly on Voxer, and every week there's a presentation or an expert guest that comes in, and they get access to only what they need in order to move them forward. And they learn a lot more rather than farming things out to this specialist and this channel, and it's much more efficient for them, as well as, and this is a reaction from me to what people were telling me they needed. They didn't just want the book proposal, they want to reach more people. And a book is one way to do that. Another way is speaking engagements. But if you don't know how to put together a speaking proposal, then you're going to be SOL. So I'm simply redirecting my brand of genius and expertise to help women who don't have access to an integrated marketer who could say, like, okay, well, my toolkit is really big, so whatever you need, we're going to just get there faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are ways to make that happen. Like, plus, women are awesome. They know a lot more than they think they do.
Love that. I feel like that tends to be the case more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And having someone like yourself to be able to shepherd, as you would say, and pull that out, I think that, yeah, is huge for sure. Can you share a little bit about your mindset when it comes, or your mindset then, in terms of making this mid-career shift and doing it over 40? What were some of the mindset roadblocks or challenges that you faced for yourself?
My roadblocks, I think, were focused on speaking too much about the ingredients of how I did things rather than what the result was. Because in corporate, you're surrounded by people who want to know what you're doing, the elements, so you're going to put together the website, but people really, they're not really looking for a website. They're looking for to reach more people. They want the end result. And so some of my barriers were shedding those corporate measures of success, because no one's goal is like, I can't wait until I have a really great website. Well, the website is and it's a means to an end. The end result is what people are looking for. And that mindset of no, don't you really love your messaging package? It's great, but I still need to use it. How am I going to get speaking gigs? I need media training. And I soon realized, oh my gosh, it's not about the media. I have conducted hundreds of media trainings. So what I finally realized is like, no, I'm not marketing great media training. It's whatever you need in order to get where you're going. That's what I do. But you don't need to know my method for media training. You also, please, for all that's holy, do not hire just a media trainer, because you will end up, they don't know your messaging. They don't know your voice. They will give you, all the ingredients, but they won't incorporate your mic drop moments or make them better. They simply will make you a better presenter. So there's that mindset of what I'm really doing is elevating women's voices so that they can share what they know and help more people.
It's really good. Really good. My mind for a second just went back to, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, Allison, but I homeschooled my kids back in the day. And I went to college to become a teacher. So in my mind, when we said we were going to homeschool, I had this idea in my mind that, I was going to have a whiteboard or chalkboard, I guess I would say. And, we were going to be in school from 8 to 3 p.m. and everything was going to, going by this method, that this expectation. Right. And I hear that as you were sharing about what your roadblock was and like undoing that and really getting at the result and what your clients need. I love that. And it took me back to homeschooling. So thank you for sharing that. Let's see, what is one piece of advice, or maybe you have a few that you could share with someone, woman in particular, who is over 40 and is considering making a shift in their career and becoming an entrepreneur? What is one piece of advice that you would share with them?
The best, most important thing for everyone to realize is this: time's a wasting. If you have the urge to share what you know and you see that people need what you have, how dare you keep it to yourself? It's your modesty is selfish. So let go of that, because you can call it humility or you're not quite confident enough. But if you really can help someone else, they're not interested in knowing that you're not quite ready, because you have something that's gold that they can use today. So it's time.
Oh my gosh. Mic drop moment. Mic drop moment. That hit me right here. It hit me. We've had these on the side before, but wow, time's a wasting. I could not agree more, Allison. In terms of, I'm thinking about strategy, right? Having that net ready before you jump, if you will. So maybe some of the strategy components, what are some of the things that someone should be thinking about and putting in place before they completely make that jump?
What people really want to know is, what do I need to do before I go out on my own? And there are, I'm sure you can make a really, really long list, but get your pencil out, because this might blow your mind. You need to know what you can do to help people. Can you help them get closer to the result that they're shooting for? If yes, figure it out. So you could spend the next 10 years getting ready to get ready. Sometimes you just have to do it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. Another mic drop. And I'm almost sweating over here. So good.
I know. Well, I'm not. You always look like you're super chill.
Oh my
I what I want to say to people is there's like God's coming for all of us. So don't wait. Don't wait like I mean, I waited too long. I think everyone who goes out on their own says, "Oh, I waited too long." And you don't have to do what I did, like just cut bait and start doing something else. You can you can uh, consult and spend time volunteering and giving financial advice to um, women who are starting, who are in dire straits, or you can teach art at your local community center. Whatever it is, there's a market for that. And it might be that you have like a mindset block of like, oh, I don't want to charge, or I don't want to tell my neighbors what I do. You must claim what you do. If you're an artist, with someone that says, what do? You can say, well, I capture families' most impactful moments by creating, beautiful oil paintings as family mementos. You don't have to say I'm an artist, because that is boring. We don't want to know what your job title is. We want to understand what the result is of your work. So
love that.
Start with that. What is the result that you can bring about in the world? And then do that. There are many paths. Find your own.
Love that. Oh my gosh. So good. So many pieces, so many good nuggets in this conversation. Allison, I don't even want to like stop talking. I could keep listening.
Well, listen, I didn't mention this, but I do want to invite anyone I do offer all kinds of free workshops in my Facebook group. It's called The Publishing Lane, and you can search for it. And it is, it's full of published writers, bestsellers, self-published editors, resources. People who are just starting out, historians, I mean, the gamut. And you can get what you need there. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know where to pitch my 3 best tips for how to approach tax season, that's cool. You don't have to, because I know. You could ask me. I'm in there every single day. There are a ton of people who are getting published for the first time, usually over 45. Yeah. I mean, I only work with women over 45, but not on purpose. It's because those are the women who have something to say and are tired of asking for permission.
Love it. And for everyone who's listening in today, I'm going to leave Allison's Facebook group down in the description for you below to use that link, click on it, and get an invitation to join her Facebook group. I'm telling you, every single time that we have a conversation, it's always, I leave with so much value, so much, and so many words that I need to hear. And gosh, this is for you, but so much has been for me too today. And I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation. And please leave Allison some love below in the comments and let us know what has resonated with you most today. Because I'm telling you, she had some mic drop moments in this conversation, and they're not occasional. She has quite a few that she shares and sprinkles in her content over on Instagram, which is one of the places where I follow Allison. But before we wrap up and before I let you go, Allison, I want to go through a few questions, like our little rapid round
Oh, okay.
of questions. So fun fact
Okay.
about the woman behind the brand. What's the fun fact about you?
Um, Fun fact, I speak Spanish. Oh, and if I wasn't doing this, I would definitely own an art gallery and maybe a cattle ranch.
Oh my gosh, a cattle ranch. Okay, super fun fact. That was fun. Best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Say yes.
Oh,
The answer is always yes.
mm-hmm.
It's like improv. Yes, and.
Mm-hmm. Favorite hobby?
Well, I do love horseback riding.
Okay, all right.
And I love going to bookstores and just like caressing the spines of books. Is that a hobby? That sounds weird.
No, I think that could be a hobby. Maybe. And speaking of books, what is a book that you would recommend? It could be fiction, nonfiction.
Oh, let's see. Artpreneur by Miriam Schulman. And the subtitle is The Step-by-Step Guide to Making a Sustainable Living from Your Creativity. And I feel like your audience needs this book. Let me see if I have a copy. I do. Here you go. So I have two. So this is Artpreneur.
Mm-hmm.
This is my client. It's launched in January. It's already a bestseller in entrepreneurship, creative businesses, and a bunch of other Amazon segments, and also financial feminist. Ooh. Not a client, but this woman is gold. And the subtitle is Overcome the Patriarchy's Bullshit to Master Your Money and Build a Life You Love.
All right. 2 books to the list. Love that. Okay. Best vacation you've ever had?
Montana. I went to a cattle ranch 4 different times. Same ranch. I do. I love some horses. Or also Italy, also Maine. I mean, who doesn't love travel?
Love Maine. And speaking of vacations, your next vacation spot?
Puerto Rico.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Allison, we are going to wrap our conversation for today. I've so enjoyed having you on today. Are there any final words that you want to share? And tell us where we can find you other than the Facebook group too.
You can find me at lanelit.com and on all the social channels at Allison Lane Lit. Also, you can just send me a note, hi@lanelit.com. I'll answer you.
Got it.
And anything I want to share? Yes, of course. Here's what I want you to know. It is time for you to share what you know in whatever way feels good to you. Don't wait.
Love it. Mic drop. Final words. Love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Grateful that our paths crossed. You're stuck with me now, Allison. And once again, just thank you so much. Thank you again.
I'm so happy to do it.
I certainly appreciate it. Thank you. And for all of my subscribers and viewers out there, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I'd love for you to join in. We have videos every single week, and interviews like the one that we had today with Allison also happen right here. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.